The indelible marks left behind by men of goodwill following their departure from this world to the great beyond will continue to live after them. Vice President Kashim Shettima made this observation at the special prayers held in honor of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari at his Daura home in Katsina State. And as part of the special mourning activities approved by President Bola Tinubu in honor of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, an expanded special session of the Federal Executive Council is scheduled for 5 p.m. today at the Council Chambers at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. A statement by Rabiu Ibrahim, Special Assistant Media to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, says the special FEC meeting will hold after the third day prayer for the late former president at his residence in Daura, Katsina State, with the Vice President Kashim Shettima leading a delegation of the federal government for the prayers. On Friday, July 18th, a special prayer session will be held in honor of the late former president at the National Mosque, Abuja, while on Sunday, July 20th, a special church service will be conducted in his honor. Executive Secretary of the Lake Chad Basin Commission and Head of Mission, Multinational Joint Task Force, Ambassador Maman Nuhu, also expresses heartfelt condolences to the government and people of Nigeria, as well as the family of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. He describes late former President Buhari as a visionary leader whose unwavering commitment to regional integration and security left an indelible mark on the Lake Chad Basin region, helping to revitalize the Multinational Joint Task Force and to strengthen the collective fight against terrorists in the region. Meanwhile, former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekarau also conveys his condolences on the passing of the former president, saying that the late president will be deeply missed. He recalls his close interactions with him, revealing the late leader's deep passion for his people. All right, let's now cross over to the State House, where my colleague, State House correspondent Musbah Danwahab, will give us a feel of the ambience as we build up towards the special FEC valedictory session. Musbah, what's the atmosphere like over there?
It is on and getting bigger, getting to the climax actually at the State House here. The mood here is that of mourning. The flags in my front that you cannot see at the moment is just our staff as directed by the president. And in less than 1 hour, we expect people, any moment from now, we expect members of the Federal Executive Council to start coming in into this council chamber right here behind me for the expanded special session in honor of immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari. And that is going to be expanded because we're expecting leadership of the National Assembly, including the Senate, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, Speaker, House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, to be part of the session. Now, this is the first time that we're going to have an expanded session like this in honor of any former president, and it's coming for President Muhammadu Buhari. We've had sessions 1 minute silence in parts of former leaders, former council members, and special session, but for an expanded session to be held in honor of a former president. This is the first time actually, and a delegation of the federal government led by the Vice President Kashim Shettima that went or attended the third day prayer for the former president in Daura are just airborne with the information that we have at our disposal, and they are expected to come right straight to this council chamber to be part of that meeting, because we also have a lot of council members, ministers, about 20 of them, and the vice president. They will be part of this session coming on soon. Now let me join one of my colleagues here, Juliana Taiwo Obanoye, who has been in the State House for a while. She was part of those press corps members who covered late former President Muhammadu Buhari, and we're going to hear a bit from her. Juliana, I'm sure your dressing can depict the mood in the State House with your color, and sadly, we just lost a former president, and Nigerians have been mourning that. So what exactly would you remember about this former president, Muhammadu Buhari?
I remember him for his wit. He was a man of, he had jokes to tell. At every session, we had the opportunity to cover, even if he was inaugurating a committee, or just generally speaking, for one, it was the first day he came into office and he decided to meet members of the press. For us, that was a very important way of him saying, you guys are important. He met each and every one of us and we introduced ourselves. And the funny thing was that for each person he spoke to, that introduced him or herself to him, he had something to say. So in my case, the moment I introduced myself to him, and my boss, then Mr. Femi Adesina, being his spokesman, coming from the Sun, he turned, looked at him, and then looked at me and said, tell your cartoonist, the way they draw my chin, that's not how long my chin is. So he was a man of very, he was jovial, a bit that we've seen with him, and I've had cause to cover him outside the country. I was with him in Washington when he met with Donald Trump during his first tenure in Washington, D.C. I was also with him in Germany, where he made that famous remarks that my wife, I don't know the political party my wife belongs to, but I know she belongs to my kitchen and the other one. So, I mean, he's a man of, he was a man of wit for the few times, even during Salah celebration, when we had the opportunity to shake his hands during the Salah coverage, homage, he had something to say, At times he will comment about your height, the way he will look at you will make you to laugh because already he's, noting the fact that you are not as tall as he is. He was also a stickler for time. If he has, if there was a function here for one, you can be sure he will walk in there 2 minutes to the time or a minute to the time. He was never late. And that military background, that discipline stayed with him all through. You can be sure that most times ministers were locked out of FEC if he happens to step in. Probably when there's a break, then they will move in. So we witnessed that. He was a stickler for time, discipline. And as far as I know, I think he tried his best. He meant well. He was always talking about the poor, you understand. And I think his programs, the trader money and all those programs, by the humanitarian ministry, just showed his heart, for the poor. So,
interesting to hear that from you. Now, very quickly, we've seen the way that the federal government has organized a lot of programs, activities in honor of this man. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, he's a man of history. He was the president of this country. Whatever honor is being accorded him in time of death, he's well deserved. So he merited it. And don't forget, he was a popular man, and his popularity was organic. It's not a rangy kind of a thing, So he was a man of the people, so he's well deserved. We are honoring a man that God gave him opportunity to rule this country twice. First as a military president, second as a democratic president. So it's well deserved.
Thank you so much, Juliana Taiwo Banoye of the Sun newspaper. You have just heard about the late Muhammadu Buhari, his attributes, characteristics, actually. The most important part are discipline, which everybody knows about him. So any moment from now, we expect members of the Federal Executive Council to start coming in, and as soon as that is the House is called to order, will bring the transmission to you live on the network service of the NTA.
Certainly, Musbah, this special expanded sitting of the Federal Executive Council, no doubt a reflection of the icon that is the late former President Muhammadu Buhari. Thank you, Musbah.